So finally, I'm checking out Film Companions Directors Adda 2023, which doesn't have Sandeep Reddy Vanga though, and he's quite pissed about it. But anyways, I've now watched all the films from all the directors in this video, so I thought now finally let's have a look at it. It already has million views, and if you haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the description. You can check it out. Cannot wait to hear all the amazing stuff about every film directors have made, and the inputs and what they discuss about. So without any delay, let's have a look.
Everyone, welcome to the Film Companion Directors Adda. First of all, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be sitting here with such incredible artists. You all have given us such amazing films this year.
I've not seen side B, so that's the only film left, but I don't think there'll be much spoilers. Hopefully.
These films have been transportive, terrifying, magical, just gorgeous. The films you've made have
Very
got
much so serious. As if she's putting allegations on them.
people back to theaters. And you, Gopala, have said and done in less than 30 minutes what many people could not say or do in 3 hours.
You know, you've been very kind. I'm totally out of place here. Hi, everybody's a director, Papa. I'm actually only an actor.
That short film
Quietly.
deserves her triple press.
Bus, huh? Thank you.
Now she's just awkward with praise now.
Yeah.
What's with the
Let's
mic?
move on. Let's move on. I'll try not to talk. So mean.
So I'm going to start with something that S.S. Rajamouli said on our last year's round. He said when a director
Something's off with the audio. Something went wrong.
begins, he or she gets excited by an idea, right? You fall in love, you want to tell everyone that idea, and you start this job. But somewhere in that journey, you have a moment of utter doubt. Okay, and you're like, why did we begin? Why did we start this? What does any of this mean? And at that point, you have to remember what made you fall in love. You have to remember that excitement of that beginning and that first
Quite
flush
thought-provoking.
of passion. So I want all of you to tell me on these films that you just made, when did this doubt happen? And how did you remember the excitement? Confident? Will we start with you?
I think the doubt though happens all the time, every day. Even sitting here, I'm reminding myself now the film is made. I don't have to worry, anymore. And I think that whenever you start anything creative, it's really a sense of I want to share this feeling of what it is, to live. It's an experience of living. In some ways, like because I had only very few shooting days, it's a small, short film. So there's actually no room for any doubt or anything else because you have to finish. Like one day, we were shooting 21 hours, I think, straight. So it's just like, you've done this major prep, all your doubts and all, whatever you have to hajam karna padega abhi. Now you just have to go ahead and make the film. Otherwise, doubts are there all the time, every day. It's just like hoping for the best.
Third for you.
Actually, the idea was, it was not a tragic circumstance, but
I think a noise reduction would have made the audio better.
a very unfortunate time that I had to come up with an idea because we were hit by the pandemic. I was prepping for a film Bhakta and I was going on the sets. I had prepped for 2.5 years. And I was going on the sets in April and March, we were hit by the pandemic. And
I was
then
really
for various
listening
reasons, I
carefully.
realized logistically it was impossible for me to make that. And we were all just secluded in our homes and I would go with my notepad and pen because I still don't type on a laptop.
You still write?
I still write. I mean, I cannot type on a laptop. I don't know what to do with it.
Even like, not to compare with him, but even I if I make my notes to make a review or something, I write. Like I used to type, but that doesn't have the same feeling. I just write notes and what I want to say, and that's much more. It just works for me better. Not very eco-friendly, but yeah, it works.
Like I feel like
Longhand writing.
and very unreadable as well. It's all scribbled. And I just sat there for about 10 days, nothing was hitting me. And then one day I went back to a story of my father's family. It happened with my uncle. And I just went back to it. And then I began the journey of developing the story with a group of 3 writers, actually. I made like a writer's room with Shashank and Ishita and Sumit. And then the doubts happened again because of COVID, because every time we got 2 months off, you started seeing your rushes and like, is this going to work out? Like there was one point where I thought myself that this may not make any sense to anyone. It's too long. I'm directing up to 7 years. I was doubting myself. I was doubting the film. I was doubting the industry. I was doubting how our film's going to work. So when you talk about doubt, it was a big shout in my mind, and I'm sure the collective minds of the film fraternity, because at one point we were told like no one's coming back to the cinema halls. There's a digital takeover. So yeah, when you say doubt, there was a plenty till the day I think my film released. I was a sight not for sore eyes, but for like I was looking or walking around like a dead man walking. I was that stressed. So yeah, the stress and doubt doesn't leave you.
Did you feel?
This is like, this journey is full of doubts. It started with doubt for me because I wanted a story where Suri could fit in as the lead. Suri has been doing comedy roles for the past like 10, 12 years. And
Nice that he's explaining that.
to make him the
Many may not
protagonist
know.
of a story, which is also a serious one. There itself, I had the doubt. And then I started working on a
Interesting that there are 3 Tamil directors. That says you wow, great 2023 was of Tamil cinema.
novella, based on a novella. And then after 15 days, like after investing myself into that world and started liking that, I got to know from the writer that he'd given the rights to someone else. Then,
Oh,
but I really liked the world and the people in the world. So I sent him whatever I had written and said, can you make us like story out of whatever that I've written so that I can legitimize my script and stay away from the person who's bought the rights of that original stories claiming that I stole from that. Then he said,
oh my God.
no, I had written something similar in 98 itself. So he gave me a 6-page short story. And that is where this journey started for me. And
Wow.
I told my producer that I will finish this film in 35 days, the way I finished Misarnai. And we went to the locations. And then I realized I can only finish 10% of the film in 20 days. So and
Oh my God. I need a movie just about making of Vidudalai.
70% of the budget spent already. So I came down.
Everything gone
and,
wrong.
And we got down on the hill. And the location that we were in did not allow any vehicles to go there. So we had to carry all the like equipments there. And then we built tents for like 250
Oh my
people. We
God.
built toilets there. And then we stayed there. We built like 20 toilets. No, not 20. Like I think 10 or 12 toilets for the villagers there. And then we were using it. And one fine day, we had one storm coming. All the tents were like gone. And then we had to come down. And
My God.
once we were on the planes, I realized that I can't finish.
I had a criticism for the movie, that technically, like some places, the action, it may not work that well for me. But hearing all that, I feel like bad saying all that. But see, at the end of the day, you cannot think about these things. You just have to talk about the merit of the film. All these things don't matter when you're talking about the merit. Yes, as someone who is into films and aspiring filmmaker, hearing all this, feel like, oh my God, all that they went through to make a film and it worked. So that's a big achievement in itself.
This film. Then I called my producer and said, sir, should we think of working on something else? He said, sir, already we've spent most of the budget. Why not we try pursuing this itself? Then I said, okay, going to the hills is a problem. I will try to figure out a location where I can shoot here. There's a sequence of the base camp and all of that. I thought I'll shoot that in like 10 days and we'll be done with most of the film. Then I go there and then once I see the location, I start liking it and then I start shooting it. Like after 40 days also, I've not finished what I wanted to finish in 10 days.
Oh my God.
So by that time, the budget was triple the numbers that what I said. So then I was shooting.
Everyone is like, they know what that means. Like films get stopped if that's what's happening if you're directing and the budget is going out of.
Then Vijay Sethupathi came into the film, and then when Vijay Sethupathi came in, the producer was relieved that we can sell it for a better price. And because he came in, I
That
started
makes
writing
sense.
more. And by the end of 120 days of shoot, I called my producer and said, I think we'll have to find a way to break even. And then he said, sir, whatever you shoot, you shoot. I had another 40, 50 days of shoot left.
Is that why you divided the film into two?
I had to go into no other. And then it was also more.
Yeah.
I thought, we decided that we'll make it into a two-part thing. And then once we decided that we'll make it a two-part thing, a simple intermission sequence ended up being one main action sequence for the climax of the first part. And then went back to the first opening of the film, which was not working. Then we decided to execute one shot, like that 10-minute
That
shot.
was, yeah.
We have to talk about that shot.
One long take. And then we somehow managed and finished the first part. Then after the release of the first part, now I'm wondering what to do with the second part. I'm done. I'm done with the second part. It's ready. I'm trying to send it to festivals. But for the theater, I think something is missing. So I told my producer I'll shoot for 10 days. He said, okay. Now I'm shot for 18 days. I think I have another 35 days.
Who is this?
I feel it's worship this man.
It's Elnit Kumar. He lives in Chennai.
I'm taking the next flight to Chennai. This magnanimous man.
I said I'll finish the film in 4.5 hours. For the first part alone, we spent around 65. I mean, he spent around 60.
So the budget
4 to 65 for just the first part, where it was supposed to complete the whole story within 4 crores. Oh my god, this producer is great. We should have a producers roundtable also.
somebody who had no clue has done all this.
I didn't have any clue of what I'm going to shoot. I was just shooting.
Oh God.
So I didn't know what I was shooting. I still don't know what I'm doing with the film.
You just made a great
With
film.
your track record, it's very difficult to believe you didn't know what to do. It's very difficult to believe.
Sometimes it's very. I'm always confused. I'm not sure what I want to do, and my team knows how
That's
to work around
so
me. They say,
true.
okay, who all you want? Okay, these are the actors, and what are the props you think you might need? I think I will need these things, and I think we need to have this period's costume, like 70s costumes. Okay, now that's all. They'll not ask for the scene. They'll not ask for any details.
Oh, wow.
So I called Vijay Sethupathi to act for 8 days in the film. He's already finished more than 70 days.
We need translation.
He just said, you are like you are self-sabotaging yourself. I'm putting so many allegations against yourself. Confessions.
And you're making no pitch to a producer right now.
No, this is like a statement. Like if you like something in my film, please be prepared for this.
Wow.
Gio, what about you?
I have a lot of doubts, but I clear with myself. I just think in the side of audience, and I just
Recently saw Cardle. Check out my review. Masterpiece.
resolve that. And the same time, I already discussed with my partner Veena and my DOP, my editor, and then only I got an answer. If you delete this, if you add something or not. That's why I'm working. And same thing I'm doing handwriting till now. And the same way I can only read that. and there is no proper screenplay for me. When I'm writing, just scene orders only. But proper screenplay means there is a screenplay, but proper dialogues is not there.
Okay.
I'm improvising. I'm waiting for the last minute for getting a dialogue, getting a polished one, a fine-tuned version. So every time I'm also a kind of audience. When we're seeing watch on a theater, what I feel, what I felt, that is I'm thinking always. So that is my kind of filmmaking.
This is incredible because in our heads, like everyone's fully in control of their craft. There's a storyboard. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing. And here you're saying that,
I think it depends. This is not a proper way. This is comfort. This is my comfort.
right.
Yeah.
You work
Yeah.
best like
yeah,
this.
yeah, that's all.
Avinash, you? Do you follow this school?
Of course, it's completely in doubt, anxiety, everything constantly. Like I turned filmmaker by accident. I studied cinematography. Killa happened 10 years back. And I had to wait for 10 years for my
Oh, then
second
he's
film.
also a Tamil director then, right? Killa is a Tamil film, if I'm not wrong. Let me in the comments.
Feature film, you know? So it was like, yeah, means I didn't know where to pitch, how to pitch. But when Patal Look happened, I sort of
Oh, he did Patal Lok,
gathered
wow.
a little bit of courage. And then I stopped being a cinematographer. And this journey as a filmmaker, you know, it's very solitary kind of a process. I didn't know how to write, didn't know any writers, you know. So just to spend time with yourself during the pandemic, and that decision sort of like took like a lot inside. And and then when I got to know that Padal Look season 2 is not happening, it got pushed because of some problems. And I didn't know what to do. And I was like,
Controversy.
I didn't want to go back being a cinematographer. Particularly for this time, because I waited like for a long time, you know. And then when some like you're pushed to the limits.
You have to say, give it to Film Companion. You know, the different types of directors they've gotten. You know, big blockbuster films, you know, indie, short film also. You know, all different variations of directors are there. So it's good to, you know, see how they all think and, you know, look at filmmaking.
I had only 4 months, and I went to meet my dearest friend Chaitanya Tamani, and we had a very long
Oh, nice.
conversation. And I like for 8-9 hours we were talking, and I really felt very charged up. I went to my home. I started writing at 12 o'clock in the night, and in the morning I had all the pointers. And in couple of weeks time we made
Wow.
the screenplay. I called Varun Grover that Varun, this is what I want to do. Would you be okay to write, like consider to write dialogues? And he heard it and he liked it. Similarly, actors, I sent them the script and they got on board. And in 4 months time we had shot our film in 25 days. So yeah,
Wow.
that was the journey with 3 of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hema?
For me, this particular film has been riddled
Films.
has been riddled with
Wait, is it
doubt from a
his
very
leg?
long time, because
In a,
I wrote this
wait,
script,
what?
wrote this idea about 12-13 years ago, and
Okay.
every time I pitched it, I was met with rejection because they were like, nobody's going to watch this. It's
Okay.
not, it doesn't have the right elements for it to work commercial.
Really?
And so it was,
That's, you know, I don't know how many creators, people to tell stories have been stopped by this dialogue. No one will watch it. You know, I just wonder, and I hope, you know, the time better things, you know, the time becomes better, like, you know, that this film got made, you know, and it did well. So I hope, you know, that encourages other people also, and more of these creators can come out, which have been, you know, suppressed all over the years.
always something that people were said is not going to work. So I had carried it with me all this while. So there's a lot of doubt within yourself. And the job description, like he said, like everybody is sort of alluded to, is it is anxiety. It is driven by anxiety, but the demand of the job is also to ensure that you don't distribute the anxiety to everybody
Yeah.
around you.
Very
You
well
keep it
put.
within.
You have to handle it and give the notion that you're in control. So because actors don't do well if it comes across like you don't know what you're doing. Producer won't be happy if you come across like you don't know. So the best way I have figured out is to be vulnerable and to be as communicative and sort of open yourself up to your team, and that sort of allows other people also to be vulnerable with you. And to make something like that is a very beautiful process. And over a period of time, you realize you don't get everything right. And it's okay. You know, there are days where the more number of days you work in films, this is my 4th film. I mean, if I consider both films as 2 films separately, then it is 4 films.
Yep.
The thing that I've learned is that you'll have good days and you'll have bad days. And there are days when you go home and you feel really horrible about being a filmmaker. And there are days when you go home and it's just, you feel like you've trapped magic for eternity, you know. So you
Just like his film, You know, it's poetry.
You learn how to deal with that better with time.
Yeah.
And I think that doubt is a very powerful check for us as filmmakers. It's a very unhealthy space if you are very confident internally. In fact, if I shoot something very confidently, I start doubting myself even more because I'm like, wait, this can't be right. You know, it
Wasn't so easy.
wasn't. It's
Yeah.
like this happened too easily. There's something amiss. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I really enjoy it, but the anxiety, you get used to it so much that when it goes away, you don't know what to do. It's actually you're like, you feel suddenly empty, which is what is happening now.
You're empty.
Yeah, completely.
What about you, Nelson? When did you have doubt with Jailer?
I had doubts were there throughout the process and the writing process. But what made me come out of that is Rajini sir, not literally him. I would somehow wanted to do one Rajini sir's film. So when the block is happening, I used to convince myself, don't leave this project, you have to do this. Somehow you have to do this.
But you had that level of doubt where you wanted to leave the project.
Not exactly. If it's not coming out in the paper, of course it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Either he will stop it or I'll stop it. So that is the thing which make me wrote that entire script. And after that, while shooting also, I had the same doubts because
It's like that fear. Oh, either it'll be so bad, I'll just stop making this film, or Rajni sir will come and tell me I'm not doing this. What are you? You're not making a good film. That's the
first
fear.
time I think I made him play his age. So
Yeah,
that was
that's
a major
true.
doubt in me because a lot of people told me, no, don't make him play his age. Let him do whatever he has done already. But I was little confident and not confident about it in the both thing. But somehow, okay, even if it fails, let it be with my gut. So whatever I feel, I'll make it. If it's not working, let me take the blame. I don't want someone else to confuse me.
Hmm.
So finally, knowing his audience and what all he did in this 50 years, it was a very big challenge, and that itself is a big confusion for me. Whether I can satisfy that much audience or I can see my target for this film is I have to pull maximum number of audience into the theater. That is the target. So I
Did
worked
that,
around
right?
it. I know here and there I'm doing something over the top, but still that's what people expect from him is what I feel. That's what I also enjoyed. And recently after this OTT era, what I feel is for big films, people come to theater to celebrate and enjoy and just to feel the aura of the theater. And being Rajiniism is the bottom backbone of that film.
Yeah.
Is what, in my opinion, I totally took it in that way. And I wrote it in that way. I executed in that way. And I think it worked. Finally, my doubts cleared only after the release of the film. Till that, I had my own doubts.
After watching the film, I feel that he playing his age was the best thing for the film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it worked the most.
Yeah.
Without that, I don't think this film would work as much as it worked.
But
It has worked now.
before starting, so many people were telling me, like, don't graze, don't dye him, nothing. Sorry, dye him, don't show his gray hair, something like that. All that. But when people were,
But kudos to him, not listening to all of them. I think that's what makes him a different director. That's what makes him stand out. And that's why I think big part of the success of Jailer.
people from the industry saying it so confidently, it made me,
Yeah, it shakes you up.
yeah, it shakes me.
Yeah.
But after a point, after 10 days of shoot, I was a little confident. And I saw the scenes were working. The scenes
Yeah.
were working, okay. Then I left it to the universe. Let it come, whatever, like that.
Karthik, when did you leave it to the universe? For
Yeah.
Jigar Thanda Double X.
Actually, I had doubt. I mean, the idea for this Jigar came right after the next year of Jigar Thanda. Jigar Thanda got released in
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So 2015, the project was all set. I'm in total contrast with what Vitri sir said. There was a producer, there was a hero who wanted to do this, and I just had the idea for the first half. I mean, what the film is going, and then And I also had one idea where the film takes. I mean, if you have seen the film, the first half
Okay.
happens in Madurai, and then they travel to some place, and then the main idea of the film is to show uh, what's the power of cinema as such. And I wanted to show that through a story that doesn't happen in Madurai. It's in a total different world. So the idea I had that time in 2015, I had doubt that this is not the right one or this is not. I said no. I mean, at that time I could have actually started the project because um, if the complete script is not ready in my I mean in writing, and this one I don't. I can't go and do anything in the spot.
So you need to have it absolutely clear in your mind.
Yeah, not even the paper also, like a complete script with the short division. With the, otherwise,
You two need to talk.
yeah. I mean, he was saying, I thought he's a blessed person.
No, I always tell this. When someone comes and tells they would like to work with me as an AD, youngsters come out there, I tell them, if you can learn something from my films, please watch them and learn. Please don't come and learn the way I work. That's not the way you should be working. You need to write
All the
script.
producers are thankful.
Yeah. I always say that. This is an accident. I always have this analogy of cricket. Like when you have proper footwork and you have you base yourself properly, then when you're out of form, you can gain back your form.
Yeah.
It's like, without footwork, you hitting sixes while you're in form. That's what I'm doing now. When the form is out, then you're gone. You can't gain back.
Well, it's
Interesting.
not going to happen.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So that's what. So I'm like quite opposite of what he's there, but
Right.
I know.
So you didn't have the script clearly enough
Yeah,
to make it.
Yeah, to where the story.
That's also, again, kudos to him that, he was not sure totally and he didn't go. He didn't make a half, baked film, what he was thinking, but he waited and we saw the result.
is taking. I mean,
Yeah.
So then I left it at that point in 2015, and I didn't think of doing it also. And I think now after like 8-9 years, later the same Lawrence sir again asked like, did you even think of that script again? Do you have that idea now? So then that time after I finished Mahan and I was free for some. Then I again thought about the script, and that time actually it is what Nelson said. No, it is actually the universe which came in because the elephant factor and the forest factor came into my mind, and that's when I actually felt, yeah, this is going to be the script. And then I started writing, and when I felt confident about the script, I said okay, and then the film started. So I had doubt 8 years back, and that doubt actually pushed this film for more than 8 years. And then I started it. But I feel it's good because if I had made that film that
Yep.
time, definitely I would have screwed up big time. The film. That's what I think that the thought process took its time so many years to come into my mind, and then into the script, and then now the film is there. That's
Yeah.
what I believe.
Yeah. Which is what you said,
Yeah.
Hemant, about Saptasaga.
Yeah.
If you'd made it then, it would have been
No, because I
something
think
else.
some stories demand a certain evolution of you as a creator as well, as a writer as
Yep.
well. And I think only when you experience certain emotions yourself and change your worldview can you write it effectively. Otherwise, it will feel very filmy.
Yeah.
Like it won't feel like it is coming from the right place. It might work, it might not work. That is secondary. But the process of creation should feel like it is coming from a place where you're not writing it because the industry demands the scene or this audience demands the scene.
It's flowing.
It has to flow.
Yeah.
So I think for me, whatever I wrote 13 years back, 12 years back, would be very amateurish in compared to what it is now. It's more well thought out and more
Yep.
experienced.
You know,
But I think you also grow as a person, as you said, right? That you have more experiences in life. What I would have, even when you watch a movie, right? When you were younger and you watched the film, you found it boring. And you watch it today, you're like, oh my God, this is so good movie, So your perspective changes because your experience has changed. You have watched so many movies, you understood how movies work, and you have to see beyond just if the movie is giving you thrills and all of that entertainment. There's more to cinema. So even that your viewing changes. So of course, when you do something, also changes if you do it, after long periods of time.
as directors, all of you are making hundreds of decisions all day long. right? The doubt is there, anxiety is there, but finally people are coming to you for answers and you have to give them the answers. I want to talk a little bit about how you arrive at these decisions. How do you decide when to move a camera? How do you decide what lens to use? How do you decide to go wide, close? Like, Karan, you did this sequence in Rocky or Rani where they're both walking. It's a pivotal scene which leads up to the scene where they decide they're going to swap, right? You do this as a single continuous shot, which ends with my favorite dialogue of the year, handle with care, I'm a fragile, which I need on a t-shirt. But why do that as a single continuous shot?
I think most filmmakers will tell you that there's no way. I would be very perplexed to know if that everybody knew that, oh, this particular scene can be shot in this particular way when you reach that location, even though you've recceed that location. You've seen it 100 times. In fact, me and Manush, who was the DOP, we discussed that we kept that scene for pretty much most of the
This is an interesting question.
day, because it was actually the point it starts at in the film is actually 1/4 into the scene. We've already shot in one shot a lot before, which got cut in the edit. It starts abruptly a little bit because of whatever reason. And somehow, when I reached the location, I felt with it, Ranveer and Alia have such terrific conversational chemistry. It's like they allow each other that gap when required. They speak over each other when needed. Two actors who are in sync with each other, that happens only when that happens, I've last seen it with Shah Rukh and Kajol, when I worked with them in 1998 and then 2001. And I feel with the both of them, we tried this as it just happened there organically. I took the call. I said, let's try doing it in one and then see if we need the coverage. But it just went so smoothly, that one shot just went so smoothly that we were done by 1 p.m. And then we were like, we have no other shoot to do because nothing else was planned. And I'm also the producer of the film. And I feel like if I call pack up right now, I've lost a day and I'm staring at my EP. And then I'm thinking, should I, for just cheat's sake, do such work, to just pretend that I made use of the day. So then I came up with this big idea. Let's do it from back also. So we started and I was like, where am I fooling really? I am the producer. I should take this call and I'm exhausted. It's been 30 days in the heat. So I was like, back up, And then I got a frantic call from Apurva. I was the CEO of my company. And he was like, you didn't shoot the whole day. I said, I didn't need to. What could I do?
We
didn't have another location. Yeah. That's the upside. And it's happened to me actually with Shah Rukh and Kajol way back in 98, where there's a pivotal moment where they meet each other after 8 years. And I just said, I explained the scene to them and they said, oh, awkwardness and whatever. And I played a song for Atmosphere and the two of them came into the frame. They performed it. Something before the rehearsal began, I told the DOP, Santosh Tundial, I said, just roll the camera. Those days, people weren't aware of camera rolling or anything. We rolled the camera and they came and they shot that whole moment, which I really believe is one of the I can't say it myself, I don't know why but like it's what I've been told is like a special part of the film.
Yeah.
And after we said cut, I was like, we're done. He said, what do you mean? Shah Rukh said, now we'll take, right? I said, no, we're done. I rolled. We have it in the can. And he was like, no. And we didn't have a monitor on our set. So I went purely on, because that was the time when monitors were just coming in, we've all worked with on a steady can, on a Steenbeck, and then made that transition. So I was like, we've got it. And again, we had nothing to do. Again, after that. And then I looked at my father. But you see, my father, because he was my father, he was like, "Tu beta, tu ghar ja, tu so ja, theek hai, ho gaya na kaam, aur kuch karne, don't do it, don't worry about it."
You worked hard enough.
Yeah, you worked. Anyway, he thought I was the most gorgeous person on planet Earth. I was the best director. I used to get scared going anywhere with him because he was such showing off about it. And I was like, I used to die because he met Mani sir at the same location of Kuch Kuch Hota. And Mani sir was making Dil Se and shooting the Chhaiya Chhaiya song, which to me, I was wanting to go as a student to watch. And he kept gushing about me to Mani Ratta. And I'm trying to pinch him to say, please, I beg you, I want to dig a hole and jump into it. Because Mani sir was God to all of us, and continues to be. And I went home and I said, Papa, you can't. My film hasn't released. He says, nahi.
This is quite relatable, I have to say.
If it's your trumpet, if you don't blow it, who else will?
I love it.
So to go back to your question, it really just happens on set, right? I don't know. I plan. I know that short divisions are made, and we do we break it down with actors, and then sometimes there's a process that goes on. But many a time I've noticed that you've broken all of that. Happens specifically
By the way, audio is better, much better. The noise is gone.
documentary, not once but 4 times, where I've done one long shot,
Yeah.
where I've just felt the need to just keep the camera going and worked it out, because I felt all great actors. Why do I need so much coverage?
Yeah.
But I think it comes from the moment you're
You're there.
rehearsing.
Yeah. But you'll all agree with me that the mother of all long shots is what Venki has accomplished in Viduthalai Part 1. I mean, I was watching that in the theatre, Venki, and it's horrifying. It's so immersive, and what's happening is just so awful. But one part of me was thinking, like, how is he doing this? How is this possible? How is he not cut for now 8, 9, 10 minutes? And that shot, at least according to media reports, cost something like 8 to 10 crore and took 3 months to stage.
It's not getting shot.
I'm like getting a because I told you I'm producer as well.
No, actually, what happened was that was not in the plan to have that sequence. I had already told my producer about this train track that was supposed to be my first shot. But then, as the budget was going higher, I said, "Sir, we don't need to do it. In the titles, we use all the sounds and all of that, and then we'll show news clippings, news."
Yeah, so it's like you're making, like, it's a clever way, if you don't have the money to not show anything and just use that to give you like understanding of what that scene is.
Paper cuttings we can show. And he was okay with it. Like after 3 months, he called me and told, "Sir, you've already still. Why hold that back? You can't shoot this in any other film."
He's a priest.
Yeah. So let's do it, he said. Then we had to, my art director is someone who will do it very real. So he
Oh my God.
built that bridge with engineers to hold the weight of actual railway compartments. Like we put 2 compartments,
Oh.
actual compartments there, and then 3. The one that falls down was made, and that itself was, I think, 4 tons or 1.5 tons. I'm not sure. So they were like massive structure.
That's what I love, in filmmaking, when you solve problems and you have engineers on set to create something you want to do. That's where, the different worlds come together for that one thing. That's what I always love.
Actual structure was built. It took 3 months. The construction took 3 months. To assemble all the parts and all took some time. And it took me really a long time to shoot that. Going to the spot, I realized that this is too big. I didn't know what to do with that kind of a set. And for me personally, when I choose to do a long take is when I don't know where to cut the shot.
I knew he's gonna say that. I knew what that's.
So I say, okay, let's try this out. So I go to the spot. Firstly, I go to the set and then say, okay, let's do this part from here. You show the siren of the
Okay, necessity is mother of all inventions, right?
vehicle first. It was originally supposed to be an ambulance. So the ambulance siren, and then the camera comes on, goes to this point. Then we cut and show the details of the family crying. And then while I was saying that, when you cut, you're going to emphasize more on that, like particular detail. And then each and every detail, you're when you show it, when you are specifying something, the whole, instead of underlining the whole the gravity of the situation, like when highlighting each and every detail of or the plight of each and every individual passenger, I thought I will give a overall view and leave most of it to the audience's imagination instead of staying there. There are some references, certain lines, like a newly married couple is there, like someone who wanted to go on a pilgrimage is there, and then a child is there looking for the mother. All of that is just you just pass through it, but then it stays in your mind. And then we started rehearsing. I asked all my boys to come back, like who have already made films also, all of them came. And there were around like 40, 45 assistant directors working there.
Oh my God.
We rehearsed for 13 days. And because of one wrong, like, during the day's rehearsals, on a break or during the break, lunch break, one of the fighters tried to do a rehearsal, like without the whole team and crew. And he died.
Oh.
Yeah, it was an accident that could have been avoided, but very. Then we stopped the shoot after that. But then, before that, we got
I didn't know that. Like, how do you deal with a situation like that, Oof.
two takes. So we rehearsed for 13 days. We shot for 2 days, and then we got that shot. But that was not the final shot that we see in the film. So I used like 4 gimbal and 4 operator who will carry it. And then the final one, the last guy was on a crane with a harness on him. So he picked up the camera sitting on the crane and he was moved. And then when he reaches a certain point, the harness, like they put loops onto his
Oh my
body.
God.
And then he was picked up like 120 feet on a crane. And then on the rope, he was moved from this corner of the bridge to the other corner. So it was
It's incredible.
it took a lot of
Masterclass is happening.
Nelson, you were talking about how you struggle with trying to figure out what Rajni sir can do and can't, right? I think, Gio, you went even a step further because in your film, you've cast one of the iconic actors of this country and he's playing a gay man. It's a remarkable film. It's a story told with such compassion, such tenderness. But I want to ask about that conversation for you, right? Of course, Mammootty sir is the producer. So he's signed up for it. He's going into it, all eyes open. But when you're actually constructing this, did you think of how much can I do? And is that one of the reasons why his character and his partner are just looking at each other from far? We don't even see them ever touch each other, right? Are those things you thought about?
Actually, the screenplay was exactly like this. They meet. There is no meeting for each down. They
Okay.
are watching. They are at distance.
Actually, like that fact, and I said I figured the reason why I like that part in my review. You can check it on the main channel. But let's see what you say.
And when this is a story of two other my friends, 2 writers, Adarsh and Paulson. And firstly, Mammootty sir come into my mind. So I need an actor like Mammootty, and I need a human being like Mammootty. So I choose Mammootty and told to our story to him, and he give a little bit suggestions for the entire screenplay. He's also entered in every screenplay discussion. Not every, in between, he also involved with us. Sometimes he send WhatsApp messages, oh, can we change like this? Can we add like this? So his support was too great. I have 2 writers and Mammootty sir, and including me. We both are involved in the screenplay. Every time we change all areas. For example, that interval portion. So
One of my favorite moments. I did not a whole, like kind of a breakdown in my perspective of what that metaphor and how was that shot and meaning of it.
Mammootty sir says that I need an eye contact with him. So there is another version is already be written in the screenplay. So we changed that. That is worked well. All are saying that the interval portion.
It's lovely.
Yeah, that is his suggestions. It's worked well. And we others and person work a lot that. We both create all these little things. Others add one thing and Paulson will add something more and I will give a suggestion. That's why we created it. And I also discussed with my editor, my co-director. So I already told that when I'm stuck in doubts, I will discuss with these guys only. So
Okay.
I will get an answer, and we made a interval block like this. Mammootty liked that, so that's the way.
Speaking of interval blocks,
Yeah.
the other amazing interval block is
Karthik's.
is of course Karthik's, but also Karthik's and Nelson. The what you did in that so in the pre-interval sequence of Jailer is when you've got Rajni sir sitting on his dining table, and it just kills me every time I think about it that he's organized this entire massacre without lifting a finger. There are killers coming to get him. His wife and his daughter-in-law sitting opposite. And at one point, this is nuts, okay? A dead body falls on their laps. And Rajnisa just looks very cool and says, just push it. I just died when that happened. I was like, oh my God. How in the world do you think of that? How?
That was a little
Actually-
weird. But because, like JVB said, Karthik and very well handled, ma'am.
Interval block alone, I was thinking that alone for a month.
But like, if as you said, right? Like, just think about there's an interval block where the hero is just sitting on a dining table, and people are coming and they're just dying, and that's the interval block. It sounds kind of really. What's fun in that? But the way it's pulled off in the film, and the way it comes together, it's like wow.
How to stage that scene, because I wanted him to be too cool in that scene, in the
Yeah.
whole film. Because rather than him fighting, what happens around him should be like more interesting and never seen before in his films.
Yeah.
So the thought process in that scene is like going on and on and on. With the fight master, he used to come every day, and he used to show me few stagings we can do like that. Then finally, what happened? I myself wrote the whole stunt like this because he will have only some 6-7 dialogues. What happens before the dialogue and after the dialogue? How the body falls, how it's falling in the ground.
So you scripted it out.
Yeah, it's totally scripted. So
I think that's one of the more reason, because it was so different what Rajnikant has done before in his career, and even audience is not like never seen him in such avatar, in the film. Such a film, very dark comedy, that happening, and such a dark character is not very, heroic character in a sense. So I think that also like that surprise that never seen before thing also makes you very excited.
and on the shooting day, when the fight choreographer, he used to ask me, sir, is Rajni sir is not doing anything. Is it okay? Is it okay? So like this, too many people are asking, sir, he's not, at least in the end, we'll have something. No, I told him, yeah, and he's doing something like this. So see, this is not enough for him. He's a big hero. So these decisions were little difficult for me, whether it is right or wrong. But till that fight is over, that confusion was there. Till the release, as I said, this confusion was there throughout. But somewhere I liked that whole staging and the sequence. And I wanted him to be, normally for me, I like Rajni sir. When he's talking, when he's doing that mass dialogues or delivering the dialogues, his style and the way he speaks, that one more than his fight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I consciously avoided his fightings, and I made it like that. And finally it worked, so it's okay. If it's not worked, then I am done.
Dialogue.
So he has to do something.
That's right. They got a dead body on their laps and blood on their face.
tells, no, just push it.
Just push it, exactly. It was just fantastic. Karthik, tell me about your film. This
What a
meta,
Three-interval.
sprawling spiritual sequel. And again, we're back with a gangster. We're back with a filmmaker in that same territory. But this time, like you said, you put in the messaging, right? About the environment, about the elephants. Did you at any point have to struggle? Because this is something that happens a lot in the movies where the messaging overpowers the storytelling. You're
Yep.
so busy trying to give a message that somewhere the actual narrative starts to wobble. How did you find that path? And this is a movie in which there's also Clint Eastwood, and there's just so much happening. How did you find that exact way to kind of make it entertaining and deliver that message?
So basically, as I said before, this messaging part was not my priority initially because my main motive with this film is to show what cinema can do as a
Yeah, it's the
to see
power of
as-
cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I'm showing something like this is what a cinema can do. I mean, it can bring a bigger change or can create a bigger revolution sort of a thing, or a bigger political change, or it can bring down the overall the system which is trying to people at all. So I wanted to show something which is that can connect with us and also that is very strong. So that's when I said, like, initially the one which I had, I was not at all convinced because this is not enough to show what the cinema can do. I mean, but I'm in the end what I'm showing is actually the camera which the Reda's character is holding, the cinema they are making is the hero of the film, not the Caesar character or the moon. So that should be worth it because the story, what they are capturing in the cinema, and then what is being shown in the audience in the film, and the ripple effect that's creating should be bigger. So that's when when I got to know, I mean, the story of a tribe that's being a story of a genocide that's happening, and that has been. I mean, because when I got into that research, I found out that this is not a fictional story. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, throughout the world, if you take a forest, if you take tribes, there has been incidents like this where, I mean, for that pure that wealth, forest.
Great.
I mean, a lot of tribes have been displaced. A lot of tribes have been killed and everything. And what if there was a camera there shooting everything, and then we could see that means what kind of effect it would create. So that's when this messaging part came. So the main motive was not to tell this message, but to show that, okay,
What cinema can do.
cinema could have been used in a better way in these situations, or when a genocide is happening. It's a best case scenario which I thought. Like, what if cinema could have been in that way?
Right, right. I also want to talk a little bit about casting. Konkana, like, you cast Tilottama, who is one of our finest actors and is always sort of, straight-jacketed in some sort of a certain class of people or the house help, and you totally turn that around. You cast her as the affluent, upper class woman who comes home and finds her domestic help having sex on her bed. What is the magic of that? What is the excitement of that? What you did, Vetri. You see Suri and we think, okay, comic actor, or you, Karthik, we see Raghava Lawrence, we say horror comedies, but you cast him completely differently.
Yep.
When you see an actor and you say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to just switch this around completely. Tell me about that.
I think it's exciting to see people how you've not seen them before.
Yep.
So it was, for me, it was exciting for her not to be the domestic worker. Because whether you're a domestic worker or whether you're the employer or a CEO of a company, it is not based on your looks, actually. We do that in films sometimes, but in reality, it's anyway not like that. So there's no reason to adhere to what we've been doing kind of falsely in films anyway. We can just look at real life only. So that, for me, I enjoyed that very much. I liked the idea of, changing that particular casting around. That gave me a certain excitement. And I wish that people would cast more imaginatively. I think I've also suffered from that in a sense because, one has not, like I've, for example, not done too many grey roles, things like that. So it's nice to see people, how you've not imagined them.
Yeah, yeah. And is that also coming in a sense from your career as an actor?
Maybe subliminally, but that I've not really thought of. I mean, in this particular case, it's because I myself was tired of seeing Tilottama regularly cast as a domestic worker, even though she's done a wonderful job.
Absolutely,
and,
she's amazing.
Some of these roles have been really well fleshed out as well. So it's not that. It's just that, I think she's a wonderful actress. And actually, honestly, other than this, I find her very modern in her sensibility and in her reactions and her the way she expresses. It's not something that you've seen before.
Yeah.
So that, I wanted that. And I wanted a slightly, not necessarily very relatable. I wanted somebody who's a little quirky, who's a little bit of an oddball, maybe, all those little elements which are already there in Tilottama in any case.
Yeah, yeah. Avinash, I think of you as the master of stillness. There's such a quietude in your cinema. And you said somewhere that I want to observe my protagonist. I don't want to intrude upon. Can you talk about that a little more?
Especially with this film, I guess after Patal Lok, because it was extremely dramatic, and then when you're shooting 5-6 pages a day, continuously with that kind of an intensity, I wanted to come back to this kind of a space. Like, I'm a big fan of Rishikesh Mukherjee.
If you haven't seen Three of Us, you should definitely. It's on Netflix now. Very very unique story. Very different. It will. It's a film that makes you think. About a lot many things in life in general. So it'll be nice to watch. Definitely check it out.
Sai Pranjpe and their cinema, Gudar Saab. And I really had not planned like it will be this observant kind of a film. Like it's a very talky sort of a film. Like Killa was not like this, but
I've not
it
seen it.
evolved like while shooting. Like I observed and actors were doing their things and obviously because Jaideep Alawat, I didn't think of him. He was not my earlier choice. Like all the casting, it fell through. Like this film, I think it came to me. It like I didn't make it, So it was very instinctive sort of a choice. I just didn't feel like cutting. I just felt like observing and and every day by 2 o'clock we used to wrap. That's like just a page and a two and that's it. Like I don't light at all because I shoot mostly available lights. And because series is a very anxiety driven form. Something has to happen after like it structure wise it's very different. And every
Cliffhangers.
episode has to have that hook and this and that, and that's why feature films catharsis is very different than the series. Like if someone asks me like, okay, name a show which has changed your life, I don't know, maybe a show or a two. But with feature films, if someone asks me like, okay, just tell me like which is the film which has changed your life, there's so many, because catharsis is completely different. So I just wanted to come back to this
Interesting.
sort of a space where no drama is happening, nothing is happening, and just observe and feel and see what kind of a catharsis it would happen. Because pandemic, that time was like I went through a lot of like emotional personal turmoil, and I had to sort of like rest my case and come back to this, and I'm glad that it happened.
Well, your film has all good people, like Gio's film. They're all good people, just struggling with their circumstances. I also want to talk about love stories because I interviewed Siddharth Anand in January, right after Pathan. And he said to me, I'd love to make a love story, but I don't know how to make it anymore. How can you make a love story in today's times? But Hemant, you made a very, very stirring love story. Karan, you did that as well. Yours was happier, more joyous, left us a little more uplifted than yours, which just devastated me. But what is the trick to telling a love story today when the idea of relationships, when so much has changed?
I actually don't think so much has changed. I'm of the belief that what we see is a lot of noise from today.
Okay.
But
Interesting. I want to hear.
I'm not denying that there has been no change in terms of how relationships are looked at and how how people talk about love today.
I think Love Today is also a movie actually. No, but I think love stories, I don't think there's something wrong with them. I think what in SSC at least works is it feels so natural. It feels so you connect with these characters. They feel like real people. They're real interactions. You don't see how they fall in love. All of that doesn't happen, But you see how they are acting with each other, how they are so connected. It's like one soul and all of that stuff. Like my review will come. I've seen the first one, so it'll be a special review where I've first recorded myself having seen only the first movie. Then when the second one comes out on OTT, I watch it and then make a separate review and combine those videos. So you'll check it on the main channel. But yeah, I think that's what makes it special. I think Rocky and Rani is like a typical, yesteryear's Bollywood nostalgic. Both the actors' chemistry work. It's a good enough narrative about how they fall in love. They're also very different. Their characters, what they're playing, they feel like real people kind of. say somewhere rooted in reality. I think that's what connects with people.
It's far more experimental. People are far more experimental than before. But the ethos in terms of what demands of you to be in love is the same. You have to be ready for pain, right? You have to be ready to be weak in front of somebody else. You can't have walls,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not talking about a relationship between, two people in a romantic nature. It can be collaborative also, even in a work environment. So there is a certain way, there's a certain demand that you have to give yourself to the other person and hope that the other person treats you with respect and care, right? That I think will be there as long as we exist. That is fundamental to us as people. So for me, that became very important while scripting the story and while making the film, because I wanted to focus on characters in terms of how they give themselves to each other and not really dramatize that. Like I wanted to capture everyday stuff, things like, the way they talk to each other, the way they
Yeah.
fight with each other,
The way they
there is a
spend
certain
time with each other.
habitual attitude towards couples.
The way they sit on the bike, the way in the car, just the normal, routine, the things which are not interested, how they are doing it, to see that you feel like you're living with them.
That they don't realize that they have, But for somebody who's like, if I'm in a coffee shop and if I watch a couple from a distance, there's a certain voyeuristic element
Yep.
to love stories, which make it feel like, okay, that moment is mine now. When I watch Money Circle, that's the reason why it stays with me, because I feel like I was in that moment with somebody
Yep.
else,
Yep.
but it's not my moment. So I've always,
It also make, maybe evoke, nostalgia in a sense, because if you have gone through it, if you have felt it and you miss it and you suddenly connect, you feel them, already. You are with them on this journey already because you have a relatability factor to it.
aspire to make a love story, because I want to have in my filmography all kinds of stories. Like I want to do I've always wanted to do a love
You did a
story. I've
thriller
always wanted
already.
to do an action film. So I want to, because I've grown up watching all of them. But the love story that I've made is the thing that I have had maximum impact on growing up. So that's how, that was sort of the fundamental idea around which me and my co-writer Gundu approached the writing, to keep it
Okay.
very vulnerable, keep it real. We don't have to dramatize. We don't have to explain what love is to people. We
Yeah.
have to assume that
Yeah.
they know it. We have to make them partake in that moment and create that slightly voyeuristic experience.
Yeah.
So that's how I went about it. I was very doubtful, but I'm glad it's worked.
Karan, for you, you've been making love stories for 20 years now.
Yeah, but
25.
But the irony is that I don't know anything about the male-female dynamic, actually. It's actually completely alien to me personally. And I haven't even been in a strong relationship that's lasted long enough for me to tell stories of love. I have, because when I grew up on the fodder of romance and love.
And that it shows it, in his films. I think that's why, why Rocky Rani stands out is because he had more writers with him, which I knew not from his generation, or people who may have experienced it. I think that's what adds to, when you have a writer's room.
In Indian cinema and Hindi cinema, Raj Kapoor and Yash Chopra, vintage Guru Dutt, they were all influences. So all I was doing was deriving from cinema, till I realized that I had to stop deriving, because now
Yep.
everybody's going to catch it. I couldn't do it anymore. When the world woke up, when social media arrived and there was internet policing, and I was like, okay, now they're going to realize that, actually all he's doing is imbibing this from Suraj Varjatia, this from Yash Chopra, this from Guru Dutt. And I said, I have to stop doing it. I have to start creating an individual voice.
Yeah.
And then every piece of a drama or love came from my observations of other people and their relationships. The thing is, when you're single that long, everybody comes and talks to you, right? Even the couples who you're
That's
friendly
true.
with, you hear the female perspective and the male perspective. And then suddenly you realize that, there are many perspectives and you clap with both hands. And I made Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna because I was fed up of people talking about their versions of infidelity. Either they took the high ground with it and said that how, you can't endorse infidelity and it shouldn't be the deal breaker. Or there were the others who were saying like, why is it a deal breaker? It's a mistake made. You can still move on. And I'm like, what do you mean that you're endorsing something like infidelity? It's already sold out. Everyone's already, it's a weak spot in so many marriages. We brush it under the carpet, but it exists.
Yeah.
It exists. So I was like, that movie was made by a series of observations that I made and conversations I had with very
I still remember my sister was a big fan of Shah Rukh. It was a Karan Johar movie, all of that. I think we went in theater to watch it, and no one liked it that time. I never revisited it again. I do hear people say it's like, a movie not for that time. It was ahead of its time and all of that. But no, even like some of the like breakdowns or roasts of that movie I've seen, they say like there's some stupid moments in that film, makes no sense.
close friends. Otherwise, I know nothing about
Basically, it hasn't aged well.
infidelity. I have to have a relationship first to cheat on them. So I mean, that is only not happened. So then where am I going to start cheating? So it all happened from there. That's why I made My Name is Khan right after that, which was something I deeply was affected by in terms of like, and then Soon to Be, which I had to do nothing. It was my holiday film. I was not planning to climb any cinematic mountain with that film, and nor did I. And Ariel then arrived as a love story, but that was my story. Because I then, in those 6 years, fell in love with somebody that was not mine. And I understood what one-sided love is. Then I realized that there is a creature called unrequited love that is heartbreaking. It can shatter you to pieces, to smithereens, actually. And there's a physical pain. When we say heartache, it's not symbolic. It is true. It hurts. It hurts as hell. And you feel like literally the earth has slipped by.
I just imagine, Vetrimaran making a love story like Karan Johar, and Karan Johar making a dark, gritty, raw, film like Vetrimaran. That would be interesting world to live in.
And you don't know what to do. And I realized making that film, that was the most cathartic journey I've ever had with the film. And because everybody said the end is polarized and, why have you gone this way? But it's just the way I took the narrative. And at one point, Ranveer actually caught me because I was so invested in the material because it was coming to me the way I was saying the lines, the way I was expressing the scenes. He said, 1 second, am I playing you? And I was like, yes. And he's like, Anushka is, I said, a person I would like to not meet for a while. So I was like, he's like, 1 minute, this is all coming together. Sit me down. He took me to his room. I think we got drunk talking about my love story. And the next day I felt like he had a spring in his step because he had all the tools that he needed to perform.
The raw material, yeah.
So I don't know. And with Rocky or Rani, I never reviewed it as a love story. I reviewed it as my homage to Hindi cinema more than anything else. Everything I grew up on, the old song references, the characters, the cultural differences. But what I did want to do is within that, bring in a commentary of things that I believe very strongly about. I grew up dancing on my own Indian music and being mocked at by my friends. I grew up very large and big fat shaped. That made its way into the cinema. And I grew up again understanding that people can have love stories that they brush up with the carpet because I've known it of my own family. So Rocky Rani is a series of my beliefs. It's a series of my convictions and also something like the cancel culture scene in the film is something that I firmly believe because I was fed up of people telling you to shut up. When you say the wrong thing, I'm like, teach me. I might say the incorrect thing. We've grown up in a different circumstance. We've grown up saying things and using words, terminologies that we don't mean to be offensive. But, it's just the way we grew up. It's the way we were taught. I realized much later what stalking was criticized for was I thought was intense romance. I was like this man chasing this woman and really pursuing how romantic. Till one day I was sat down and given a lecture as Zoya, no less. And she told me that that's stalking. It's that stalking that's incorrect. Mujhe to pyar lagta tha wo. I felt intense passion in that,
That's so true.
And when you see all of that.
I think that's what you see there how real life things are influencing you and how you are trying to mold it in a way and put it out in your film, which makes sense in the narrative too, but you're trying to make a point also. That's cinema.
And the mistakes that you made, like gender politics of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, I understand are incorrect as compared to the gender politics of Rocky Run. Because now I've evolved, I've understood, and then you have someone like Sandeep Banga Reddy telling you like, why are you listening to anybody? Just do your own thing.
That's right.
And I'm like, still, I feel like you've got to kind of understand that with age comes evolution. And being a parent specifically, a parent of twins, a boy and a girl, you understand how important gender politics are. Because you've been raised in a certain way, you don't want to make those mistakes. You don't want to tell your children that, oh, you wear pink, Ruhi, and you wear blue. It's okay for both of them to wear pink and blue. And also, you don't tell the boy that don't cry like a girl. It's just the most ridiculous. So I have to train even the people at home not to say these things, So when you say love story, I'm like, the irony is that I wouldn't know the first thing about love, and I've only made a career out of it. So, stranger things have happened, but this is the strangest part of my career.
I have a few more questions. Avinash, Gio, Kokana, you all work in a lower register, right? The tonality is
How to
sort
put
of
it?
more hushed, and when we talk, when we look at massive films, right? We look at the tent poles in theaters. We look at massive stars. And the conventional wisdom always says that, okay, this is what's working. This is what people will come to theaters for. Do you all ever think about how will I nurture my aesthetic? How will my story go out into the world? I mean, is it daunting at all?
No, I don't have to worry about that really, actually, yet. I've not had to worry about that kind of thing now because in both the films in Death in the Ganj and in Love Stories, I think it came from a personal space. I didn't think anybody would give me money to make it. Even when I made it, I didn't know if anybody would come to watch. So I had to please myself. And
Yep.
even in Love Stories, I think, honestly, I was so excited by the idea myself. I was just like scandalized myself, by the whole thing. And I found it just so exciting.
It
that
was scandalous.
I was like, oh my God, can we? Oh my God, should we? And then how to go about it in a way that is even palatable.
Yeah.
That itself and how to present that, it was so exciting. Even like earlier when you were talking about camera and I was thinking, when somebody else was answering, I was thinking things like consent. Like, for example, that camera only goes inside the room with Seema only when Seema knows that Ishita's watching. Before that, we don't go inside, So
Nice detail.
all of that was so exciting to think of how to translate that or how to, because, when we were writing the script, so obviously the floor plan and the layout was so important because of the mirror and, so then putting all of that inside a house.
Karthik Subraj made a wonderful shot. It was, during lockdown, they put out these shots, collective shots from different directors. Like it was a robber with the tire, the money was hidden there. So something like that. I don't remember much. That was really well done, So I think he comes from a world of short films.
How will we make that happen? Trying to, like a few times we've done, for example, what is not a real split screen, but like a manual almost split screen, foreground, background, because they're from two different parts of society, those kind of things. So all of that had consumed me and Pooja Tolani, my co-writer, and we had a lot of fun with that. Luckily, we didn't have to think of these kind of things. Till now, I have not had to.
I want to take a moment and address the last moment in Konkana's film, the one between Tilottama and Amrita. I don't know if I've seen a more sparkling display of talent left just to their own device by the vegetable vendor.
Yeah.
And I really felt like only an actor could direct the scene. Because there are pauses, there are silences, there is awkwardness, and yet there is resolve. At the end of it all, there's a resolve, and done so seamlessly. I went back and I rewound and I watched that scene thrice. It's really because it moved me on many levels and layers. And I know I spoke to you, but like that moment, besides the entire film and how genius it was in its projection, that moment, and I beseech everyone to go and visit that film, and specifically as filmmakers or cinephiles who observed that moment. I thought it was tremendous.
It
Oh my
is.
God,
It
thank
is. Gio, what about you? Do you wonder or do you just make your cinema?
Yeah, maybe.
He's been quiet for some
Right now,
time.
I got a tagline that I'm a feminist kind of filmmaker, a political filmmaker. I have to change that. Personally, I love action movies. For me, there is a reason for action. In our films, in our mass kind of films, in 2 hours, more than 10,000 people died. There is no reason for that. But
Nelson, you want to address
no.
that?
I already told. I already told Karthik that I love this movie.
Yeah.
Sir, that
there-
is okay, sir. You can.
So I have to change myself. That I have to try the comedy. I have to try these kind of movies, Jailer and Karthik kind of movies. And I don't know why I reached the same kind of movies. And when society affect me, our families affect me, relationship affects me. So for career wise,
I think that's true, right? That you want to be true to what you want to tell a story in, right? If you're telling a personal story, yeah, there can be way to tell a personal story in a grand way. But do you want to do that as a director? Or do you just because people only come to watch big films in theaters, so you have to make this small story big to sell it? Then I don't think it will work because unless you have really big talent, it will not work because it's not true to the nature you really believe in. It will never work,
profession wise, I have to try all genres. So I'm trying different one. Keep trying. Not sure what is my next.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And I think feminist filmmaker is a great tag. to have.
Yeah. But continuously,
Loved that film.
if there is no feminism in my film, people try to find out feminism in my movies. Yeah.
You just have to have
Yeah,
it.
there is a politics in my movies.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I made a movie named Sri Dhanya Catering Service.
I have not
Yeah.
seen it.
It's people not watch that yet. It's in the Amazon Prime. It's released in theater. It's not worked well. People didn't connect that movie. I tried a comic piece of something, but it didn't work well. But people find out there is a feminism in that movie. There is not loud. I don't know. But I'm trying to break out all this.
For you, Avinash.
I think I want to do every kind of film. It's
Yeah.
like it's Mukul Anand was my most favorite director. Like I've grown up watching Guddu Danuasa films. But it's like where you are, what kind of impact and what kind of resources you're going to get. Like when I passed out from FTI, I knew that like I don't know anyone, and my journey. In fact, I chose cinematography as like I opted learning cinematography is because I didn't have any other option. I was like, I don't want to die out of hunger. Like it's at least काम मतलब you just have to be on the set and I was like अगर फिल्मों के बारे में बातें करते करते भी your life goes on, it's fine. So just to be on set and everything, that was enough. And it happened such that my first release was my own film, and after that I was like, what just did happen? It went to Berlin, whatever happened after that. And my bread and butter was not depending upon cinematography. So I was very sort of like, okay, I want to make a regional film, and that's where my passion lies, and this and that. And I sort of like I didn't have any other subject. It took me a long time to come back to
What was his
directing.
first film?
When Sudeep Sharma offered me Patal Lok. And it was not like I didn't get any offers or this or that, but I was very sort of like loyalist to what kind of film script I want to be part of. And I never sort of like, I knew that like, of course, his films have been like very, मतलब मैं monologues दे सकता हूँ मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के. It's really. So yeah, so the three of us was a
was
very
part
sort
of
of like strategic
Masan.
sort of a move. In a way, because I was like, no one is making this kind of film right now. And I have 4 to 5 months. And if I can crack this down right now, let me just see like if it happens. And it was kind of an audacious sort of thinking, like just I did. I just, and then whatever I'm writing next is very different. I'm writing a Western, musical, this, that,
Wow.
very different.
Exchange notes with him.
Of
Masan.
course,
Latino
I'm
Western.
a big fan of his, like, the way he uses background score and like his editing style and everything. Huge fan I am, So that's why. So three of us was very strategic, You know, like, yeah, ये अभी हो सकता है, बाद में मुझे नहीं पता ये ऐसा मुझे करना है नहीं करना है, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as the distribution is concerned, I sort of like went a little off radar with the because I felt like, okay, this space is new, and we didn't think like Patal Lok will become such a huge hit back then. But just because like it released during pandemic and all that, it became a rage. And
It was also very good.
yeah, and then we were just sitting in our houses and like didn't even get a chance to celebrate whatever, like, you know,
Yeah.
like people are just calling and this and that and but you know, particularly with this film, I felt like it is very correct. It's correct film for OTT.
Yeah.
But then no one was buying it. You know, and I'm like, oh what you know, so that was a little sort of like big, because what happened during the pandemic, the decisions, whatever, like, and you know how
Yeah.
how things are. So it's been a great learning experience. But I'm very happy that like it found its own very limited release, and whoever has seen the film, they're writing, and I'm very happy with that. And it is going to come out in a couple of months' time. So yeah.
I love it. No, I think good work finds an audience. Okay, 2 more questions. I want you to pick one Indian film that you saw this year that just blew your mind, that you wish you had made. Betri, let's start with you.
Okay.
I feel like most of them would say I've not seen much. I think that's what happens because you're all making your own film. You don't get time to watch other things. So, but let's see.
I haven't seen much, but
See.
I
From
think
whatever you've
it's
seen.
it's not this year. I don't think I would say that I wish I had made it. I wouldn't say that, but I really liked Kurangal.
I've not
Pebbles.
seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Vinod's film.
Yeah. I
It
really
was
liked
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it last year, but I would still say that it was the best one that I saw.
Karthik?
Side A. When I saw that, well, this is as they blew me off.
Yeah.
I had to watch Side B. I told him, but Side A was more than enough for me.
You don't care what happened to Manu and
I
Priya.
wanted to see, but still I have not come out of that.
Yeah. It's an intoxicating film.
Yeah.
It is. Nelson, for you.
For me, Dada in Tamil.
Yeah,
It's
Tamil
a small
film.
film, but it connected very well to me. I felt it's very real, and it had all sort of emotions like feel good and emotion, and everything was there, and it fitted well. And I like Pebbles, of course. Pebbles. I don't know whether I can pull it off, but I can make. I would like to do something like Dada.
Really?
Yeah, Dada and Tiruchitrambalam last year.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Something like that.
Fantastic.
Some rom-com or fully romance.
Something
like
smaller, less people
that.
dying.
Yes. Less crowd in the spot.
No, nobody cutting anyone's head off.
No. Actually, I am far from that. I don't know. It's automatically happening like that. I like to do films like very small films and romantic films. That's what I want to do, but I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, as far as it goes well, it's okay.
Karan.
I loved Side A and Side B. I had the privilege of seeing Side B. He sent me a link very kindly. When I saw Side A, which was on Amazon, I'm going to try and get the pronunciation of the name. It's Sapta Sagaracha.
Close, very close.
Sagaracha.
Sorry.
Sagaracha.
But when I saw it, it was just like, to me, it was like a heartbreaking love story.
It
But
is.
it was also so emotionally fulfilling. And, it was like, and I love that the film begins with the love
That's
story.
interesting term, emotionally fulfilling. That somewhere it's heartbreaking. The love story doesn't work, It feels like you experience something whole, You understand what I'm trying to say?
And they're going about it in such a like a lived-in way, and when they're on their hunt for the house, and when it ended, I was like, I really felt like a stone on my heart at that time. It really just felt like so. And then I was waiting, and then as soon as it landed, he sent me the link, and I saw it just day before yesterday night, and I felt very complete.
Yeah.
And so I would say yes. I mean, I watched some very special films. Everyone here has made such amazing work. Commercially successful films are, in fact, the toughest to make. According to
Absolutely.
me, to pack in the ingredients of Jigar Thanda or Jailer, and to do what like everyone here, what Vetri has been doing for centuries. I mean, it's like he's really such a master.
Yeah.
He's not
but
seen
even
it. He can tell. I think the more he uses adjectives, then you can say maybe he's not. But yeah, you cannot fault him. You cannot watch every film out there, especially when you're making films yourself.
what Konkana did. I mean, like, was just like I just told you at that moment that blew my mind. But this series and Avinash's exotic work has stayed with all of us. But this particular series of 2 films really moved.
Kolkana?
So kind, always so generous you are, Karan. I have to say that I have not watched very much. Unfortunately, I have to watch that. And today, though, I'm going to go back tonight and watch the Side A, Side B. I'm dying to watch that now. So I can't exactly remember this year what it was,
Sure.
but something that has really stayed with me, I think, is Great Indian Kitchen. I think it's because
Great movie.
it's so normalized. We've all grown up to different degrees like this. But to know when to shine a light on what and how to present it, that really blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, why didn't I think of this? This is like I found it a very modern, almost like a horror gore story and very feminist and really strong. And yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Fabulous film. Gio, what did you like?
My favorite is B32 Mudal. Mudal means 244 Vare. It's brass size.
Okay.
B32 to 44.
Yeah.
Directed by Shruti and produced by Kerala government and released in theatre. But one of my favorite movie, directed by a woman. Only woman can make that movie. That's why I like very much that. One of my favorite, all-time favorite movies. And we got a new perspective, new view about women.
Yeah.
I can make that. I can think about that kind of things. It's all about boobs. Great film.
Really? I have to catch that. I haven't seen that yet.
It's not available right now in the OTT.
Yeah.
I think it will coming soon. Maybe our government start an OTT platform. Yeah. Produced by government, but there is a lot of problem for watching these movies for the public.
Yeah.
So
I understand.
you must watch that.
I will. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Avinash, for you?
For me, it's Vinod sir's 12th fail. Like it's.
Thank you. I'll take that back
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. I was like really moved. Really moved.
Avinash suggested I get him on the round table. I said, no, that's not happening.
Dying to watch that. I haven't seen
Yeah,
that yet. I've been
that's
hearing
the one
just the
film I'm
best
dying to
things.
see.
No, it's
Please see.
really
You'll be very
special.
happy.
It's very special. Very, very
Yeah.
special.
Thank you. Hema.
I actually haven't had the chance to watch too many films, so I have a huge list of films to catch up on. Starting with Vetri sir's
Yeah.
film, I'm a huge fan of Vetri sir. Grown up, like
Grown up?
my the director that I used to assist was Vetri sir's back in the day.
I've met him as an AD.
Yeah, he's met me as a lady. To be
Yeah.
sitting here with him is like a very big deal for me. Even Karthik.
That's great.
When I saw Jigar Thanda, the first part, I hadn't made my first film yet. I remember the feeling of walking out of the theater and feeling that sense of I'm a filmmaker.
Mm.
I will not give up on my dream.
Oh.
And it's a very special thing to be sitting here, and I will be watching their films, all the films.
Yeah.
But there are moments, the 2 films that I saw was Sir's Rocky and Rani. The whole thing, I was telling Sir right before the conversation that the dance sequence, the way it is choreographed, people take dance for granted in Indian films. The amount of effort that Ranveer and the other actor, I forget the name of the gentleman, it's so beautiful the way and the point that it is making, that a man can dance and there is nothing to laugh about it. So beautifully made, so beautifully shot. And in Jailer, that whole entry of Shivanna is from Canada, and I'm a huge fan of Shivanna. So his entry with the tissue box, it's just
The slow motion.
it's
It's fantastic.
for me, it is everything that is not a mass film should be.
Yeah.
Right? The whole structuring of the scene is so fresh because you expect the hero to come and beat 30 people. In this film, he does exactly the opposite. He comes and gives a tissue box. Like in the interval, Rajni sir is just sitting. He's not doing anything. That sort of reinventing the wheel is very, very beautiful to watch. And it's the hardest thing to do because
Yeah.
you're not doing films only for yourself. You're also trying to, maintain an artistic sensibility while catering to people who you might not relate to even. So that was like a very big moment. But I've seen all the trailers of all the films. I'm going to watch all of them.
How lovely. Okay. I want to end with something that writer-director Paul Schrader said in an interview. Okay, and then I quote, he said, in the late 60s and 70s, it wasn't that the films were better or that the filmmakers were better. It was the audiences were better. The moment that a society turns to artists for answers, great art will emerge. When audiences don't think movies are important, it's very hard to make important movies. Do you think this is true? And what is our current moment? Are audiences seeking answers?
I feel that's very true because especially in
Today.
in Tamil scenario, when I was making Visaranai, I used to tell my team, if this film works in the theaters, then I would call the Tamil mainstream audiences the most evolved mainstream audiences. And it did work in
Because they're accepting a film like that.
theaters. And for the kind of space I have been enjoying, whatever that I said now, it's because people kind of connect and appreciate
Yeah.
the films that I've been making.
Like the films, I think he makes. I don't know about the industry. Exactly, Hindi will not work at all. They don't even get released. That's the point. Like these films will be considered just for festivals, and no one will buy these films. No one will watch these films. I think that culture of watching movies and the audience. I think that's always that statement is actually very true. It all depends on the audience. The audience, the kind of films the audience will watch. That's the kind of films will be made.
Which are not the you cannot call them the most conventionally mainstream. They are mainstream films. I do make mainstream films, but not in a very conventional way. I do have a different take on mainstream films to appreciate those films and to make my producers invest on me the way they are doing. It's the audiences. Also, we have a tradition of voicing out, there's a lot of political expression that happens through the viewers, and there is some element of a common man issue that is being discussed, addressed. It is appreciated, and now that thing is catching up with the whole of the Indian cinema space. I think any film that discusses even the slightest of the common man issues. Hindi films were not, I might be wrong here, but my observation, I'm just sharing my observation, were not very common man representative for the past some years, like a couple of decades or even more, I don't know. But now when there is some references from even other languages or films that are being made here, where there is a common man representation, an existential crisis of a common man, like or a political question that he needs to put forth. If that is seen on cinema,
Yep.
people do
I think that also shows the success we have been seeing with the recent South Indian films and even Jawan for that matter, I would say.
like it. And in today's world, like everybody in the distribution industry there in Tamil say, post-COVID is the golden era of theatrical cinema exhibition. It's
Okay.
like the numbers are like huge. Now everybody are talking numbers. It's the
Yeah.
competition is with the numbers. Okay, this hero is doing that number, that hero is doing this number. It's just that the people are now very loving and forgiving also post-COVID. They want to come to theaters. They want to watch films, and films that make a difference in this in today's political scenario is also being appreciated. So I feel it is the audiences who are driving us to make the kind of film that we
Yeah.
I'm saying it in a very positive
Absolutely.
my
Absolutely. Anyone else, Karan?
look at where we are right now. I mean, look at the directors on your round table, and you know that so much has changed. I mean, 5 years ago you would not have a round table like this,
Yeah,
and today it means
that's
that
true.
we're talking about Indian cinema now. We're talking about films made in Tamil, and Telugu, and Malayalam, and Kannada, and Hindi, and Marathi, and Punjabi, and in every language. And I do agree with Vetri when I feel like there's a celebration in cinema halls all over again. I've grown up in single screens. I've grown up in all the single screens of Mumbai and going in, watching films as a celebration, like watching entries and getting the whistles and, dancing to songs and coming back and wanting to go back again. And I feel like post-COVID, just like he suggested, it's like, I think the 3 years that people were just like bottled has actually made them want to enjoy and celebrate.
It's been like what I remember pre-COVID, it feels like centuries ago. But that was not a big deal. Watching film was not a big deal. I don't remember. And you can see the number of the box office money the films made, like 200 crore, 300 crore was a big deal, you know. And nowadays, if a film is not doing 1,000 crore, it's not good film. Like that's what we have reached. And 1,000 crores, you can say inflation and ticket prices are rising, but not so much. Like from 200, 300 to directly 1,000. That means a lot of people are showing up in theaters. So I think it is definitely social media. Oh, we went to this movie and we enjoyed, and it's a collective experience. And I talked about in my video also that this hype of watching a movie and sharing their thoughts and consuming it with everyone else and be part of that conversation, I think that has become really big, as they're saying, celebration part.
Almost revenge watch movies.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And now everything joyous, not just larger than life, joyousness that's coming from the moment, the celebration, the celebratory nature of Indian cinema. I think all those movies are really, like, those audiences are back in throes and they're going nowhere. At one time, we were graveyarded. It was like it's over for us. Like, we should shut shop and just start going to streaming services. But that's not true, because now streaming services will tell you that they're struggling with kind of numbers and subscriptions. Because now everyone is going back to cinema halls. And look at the resurgence of talent that has just come back. When you see, I specifically mean like Hindi cinema, and including Rajni sir's success that he has got with Jailer is so validating. Seeing Shah Rukh return after 5 years, seeing Sunny Deol at age 66 give his biggest hit of his career, Anil Sharma, literally see people like, Vinod Chopra makes such a massive hit, who's known for such prolific work, and there's been a large sabbatical, and now he emerges. And like, just look at the year. It's just like, it's almost brilliantly audacious what's happening. We have so much more to come. This year will go down as one of the most profitable years of Indian cinema. If you just see the numbers, that just means there's a huge appetite for celluloid again. There's a huge appetite for community viewing. And yes, we learn so much from the power of the digital medium, and there's so much talent that comes from there and that we at cinema leverage. But that magic of the large screen,
Credits are rolling.
nowhere.
That is the best note to end on. Thank you, everyone. And again, thank you for the movies. Go back and make many more. Thank you, everyone.
Right
so
away.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for having.
All right, so that was a really good session. Listening to directors, talk about their craft and what they think and what behind the scene. I think the questions are also very well asked. Finding all that details like Vidutala, all the making behind it and all the money that was spent. So all these, how there were doubts, how people think about cinema, and it was a good discussion. Everyone did give their input and how they think and all of that. And there were a lot of people and very well conducted, I would say. So Anupam Chopra is a legend now in doing all this. So great to Film Companion. Thank you for giving us this yet again in this year. I really enjoyed it. But there's one more now from Galata Plus, the Directors Roundtable with Bardhaj Rangan. You can check out reaction here if it's not out. Wait for it. And check out this video is playing here. Like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.